Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, I know what you're thinking after reading that title. Wait, Americans stormed a fortress with Cossacks? What history class did I sleep through? Well, here's the thing. I may have gotten a little creative with that headline. There weren't actually any Americans at this particular party. But stick with me, because what actually happened at Izmail in 1790 was so insane that it makes D-Day look like a casual beach landing. And honestly, the fact that you've probably never heard of it is kind of criminal. Picture this. It's December 1790, and sitting on the banks of the Danube River is a fortress called Izmail. The Ottoman Sultan is so confident about this place that he's basically sending out Instagram posts like, "Come at me, bro. This fortress is literally unbreakable." And to be fair, he had a point. The walls were massive. There were 35,000 Ottoman soldiers inside with 200 cannons, and it had been designed by French and German engineers who clearly had trust issues. This wasn't just a fortress, it was a statement. A big stone middle finger to anyone who dared to attack it. Now, the Russians had been trying to crack this nut for months with exactly zero success. That's when they called in their secret weapon, Alexander Suvorov. If you don't know this guy, imagine if George Washington, Napoleon, and your angry gym teacher had a baby. Suvorov never lost a battle in his entire career. Not one. He's the guy who would show up to a fortress siege and be like, "Yeah, I've seen worse." Spoiler alert, he probably hadn't. Suvorov shows up and does what any reasonable military commander would do. He sends a letter basically saying, "Hey, you can surrender now, or you can surrender later after we kick your doors in. Your choice." The Ottoman commander reads this and responds with what I can only describe as the 18th century equivalent of a Lowell no. He literally said the Danube would flow backwards and the sky would fall before Izmail would surrender. This, my friends, is what we call tempting fate. Here's where it gets interesting. Suvorov doesn't just charge and screaming like it's a medieval battle. No, this guy is smart. He has his troops practice storming the fortress by building full-scale models of the walls. We're talking about an 18th century training simulation. For days, Russian soldiers and Cossacks are climbing ladders, practicing coordinated attacks, basically running the same drill over and over until they could do it in their sleep. It's like if Rocky had an entire army training with him. Now, let's talk about the Cossacks for a second, because these guys deserve their own Netflix series. The Cossacks were basically the wild cards of Eastern European warfare. Semi-nomadic warriors who lived on the frontier, famous for being incredible horsemen and absolutely fearless fighters. They had raided Constantinople, captured Ottoman fortresses, and generally made themselves a massive headache for anyone who crossed them. At Izmail, they were going to lead one of the main assault columns, attacking from the riverside, because apparently storming a fortress from land wasn't hardcore enough. December 21st, 1790, the night before the assault. Can you imagine what that must have been like? 30,000 Russian and Cossack soldiers staring at those massive walls, knowing that in a few hours they're going to have to climb them while people shoot at them. Suvorov allegedly walked among his troops, keeping morale up. Meanwhile, inside the fortress, the Ottomans are confident. They've got the high ground, superior numbers, and walls that have never been breached. What could possibly go wrong? At 5:30 in the morning, after hours of bombardment that turned the night into day with cannon fire, the assault begins. 9 columns of troops attack simultaneously from different directions. The Cossacks, led by Admiral José de Ribas, yes, a Spanish admiral working for Russia, because 18th century geopolitics were weird, launched their attack from the river. Imagine trying to climb fortress walls while boats are rocking beneath you and cannonballs are flying overhead. This is not the time to forget leg day. What follows is 16 hours of absolute chaos. The Russians and Cossacks are using ladders to scale walls that are being defended by 35,000 soldiers who really don't want to lose their fortress. There's hand-to-hand combat on the ramparts, cannon fire, musket volleys, and somewhere in all this madness, Suvorov is coordinating 9 different attack columns like he's conducting the world's most violent orchestra. The defenders fought desperately. At one point, a group of Crimean Tatars even managed to push back the Black Sea Cossacks and capture 2 of their guns. But the momentum was unstoppable. By 4 p.m., it's over. The impregnable fortress has fallen. The Ottomans lost approximately 29,000 men, either killed or captured. The Russians lost around 4,000. Suvorov's troops had accomplished what everyone said was impossible. Remember that Ottoman commander who said the Danube would flow backwards first? Well, the Danube kept flowing the right way, the sky didn't fall, and his fortress was now flying Russian colors. Sometimes trash talk doesn't age well. The fall of Izmail basically broke the Ottoman war effort. It was such a devastating defeat that it helped push the Ottomans to negotiate for peace. Catherine the Great was so impressed that she made Suvorov a count. The victory became legendary in Russia. They literally celebrate it as a day of military glory. There's a massive diorama in modern-day Izmail showing the battle, and honestly, it looks as epic as it sounds. So why isn't this battle as famous as D-Day or Waterloo in the West? Simple. It didn't involve Western European powers in a starring role. It happened in Eastern Europe during a war between Russia and the Ottoman Empire that most Western history classes just skip over. But make no mistake, in terms of military achievement, strategic importance, and sheer audacity, the storming of Izmail deserves to be mentioned in the same breath as history's greatest battles. This was 30,000 men successfully storming a fortress that 35,000 defenders swore would never fall. If there's a takeaway here, it's this. There's no such thing as an impregnable fortress, an unbeatable enemy, or an impossible mission. There's just preparation, coordination, and the willingness to commit fully to a plan. Oh, and maybe don't send letters trash-talking legendary generals who have never lost a battle. That rarely ends well. So yeah, sorry about the misleading title about Americans. Consider it my Suvorov-style tactical deception to get you here. But now you know about one of history's most incredible military victories that nobody talks about. If you enjoyed this deep dive into forgotten history, smash that like button, subscribe for more stories that didn't make it into your textbook, and drop a comment telling me what other forgotten battles you want to hear about. And hey, maybe share this with your history teacher. They probably don't know about this one either. I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.